Hello, everyone, and welcome to So You Think You Want to Start a Self-Advocacy Group. My name is Amanda Baker, and I live in Tallahassee. I'm the Vice President of Florida's Self-Advocates Network, or Florida SAN for short. Today, I'm joined by a few guests to help me with the question portion of my presentation. We have Sarah Canali from Highland County, Karen Meyer from Melbourne. We also have our president, Eddie Hall, and one of the people that works with our management company, Laura Lee Manito. She's also a fellow with us. So they're all going to be helping me with questions later on. And if you have a question that we don't get to or feedback that you would like to give to us, you're welcome to email us or contact us at the information that I'll be sharing with you at the end of the presentation. So let's begin. Next slide, please. Florida SAN is a statewide self-advocacy group organization. We are a 501c3 and we are composed of 18 groups throughout Florida. This map shows where all of our groups are in relation to the state. You can see that we have groups all the way from the north to the south of Florida. Next. What is Florida SAN? Well, as I said, it is a statewide self-advocacy organization, but it started out as a grassroots self-advocacy project that was funded by the Florida Developmental Disability Council, the Florida Developmental Disability Council. And each of the groups was given a small grant to start a group or help their group enter the project. And we came together to form a 501c3 about 11 years ago in 2015. Next slide, please. We have been having a statewide conference every year, but now we've changed it to biannual or every 2 years. We're starting that this year, 2021. And you can find information on our conference. It's coming up at the end of July on our website, which you'll get later on. And we established our Breaking Barriers Training Academy in 2020 to market ourselves as experts in presenting information about self-advocacy. We also plan to become VR vendors of particular services involving self-advocacy and assisting people with disabilities with certain things. So these are things that we are doing to help build momentum and bring in revenue eventually. Next slide. So each group has its own local meetings and events. And as a whole, we come together and have a board of directors comprised of one member from each group. We also have at-large board members. We have 2 at-large board members right now, but we plan on bringing in more. And at-large board members are people that don't belong to a group. Maybe there's not a group in their area, or for some reason they can't come to regular group meetings, but they bring a specific area of expertise to the board that we need, and we have them on for that reason. So we have 2 statewide meetings a year where we talk about issues affecting the organization, and we also hold trainings and activities usually every month for all the members. Every other month, excuse me, about every other month. It feels like every month with all the preparation that we have to do. But so we hold activities and trainings for our members to attend. And Organizational Management Solutions is our management company that's been contracted through the Florida Developmental Disability Council to help us with these, and they provide training and technical assistance to our local groups. Next slide, please. Each group has their own political issues and projects that they work on. And then we have issues and projects that we work on as a statewide organization. So they may be different, they may be the same, but we have a very big mix of people. Some groups, when they started Florida Stand, were already well-established self-advocacy groups. And some groups like mine, Elephant Herds, was brand new when we started Florida Stand, before it was even called Florida Stand. We were brand new. So we have a good mix of experience, people that have been around a long time, people that are just starting out. Sometimes we have groups that join us, every once in a while we open it up to applications for new groups. So we have a good mix of people, both established advocates and new advocates. So how do I start a self-advocacy group? And I just want to make a point that there's no right or wrong answer to that question. Next slide. So you have to find out and identify what the needs are in your community. And as a person with a disability, you probably know what those are. So I was going to take this time to ask the people that I have on the call with me today to identify an issue in their community, maybe one issue that they could tell me that is an issue that affects them as a person with disability that they could work on with a group. Some may already have groups that they work with on their issues. So if any of you want to put yourself on the camera and answer that question, we'll take a couple answers to, do you have a specific issue that affects you in your community?
Transportation is a big issue in Highlands County. We have no public transportation. So a lot of individuals with disabilities don't have any independence getting around in this community, and ones who are living on their own have to rely on their coaches. And they're only ones they can rely on during COVID.
Wow, that's a big issue, Sarah. You're right. That is, transportation is a big issue. We hear that from almost all of our groups everywhere. And I think that you can agree that if you had a group to work with, that you may make better headway fighting for this issue than if you did it by yourself. So transportation is definitely one big issue here in Florida for sure. So does anyone else have any issues that affect them? Maybe things that you're working on now?
Well, here in Lakeland, we had an issue with ADA compliance, and by getting involved in this with the city commission here in Lakeland, we were able to have a wheelchair challenge, which focused on that compliance issue and changing things within the city. And working together with the city, we were able to accomplish that.
Awesome. And I'm just gonna say this for people that don't know, you already have a well-established group that you work with, Eddie, and would you say that is part of why you were successful in getting that done and accomplished?
Yes, absolutely. Here in Polk County, we had the Polk County Self-Advocates Alliance. And we also had the Florida Developmental Disability Council, which I'm a part of.
Mhm.
But Florida Sands and being involved with them has helped to enlarge that.
Yes, absolutely. Karen, can you tell us, I heard that you just moved here from another state. So is there an issue maybe that maybe you didn't have a problem with where you lived before, but now you're having an issue or something that affects you that you might want to talk about?
Well, not really, because I'm kind of new to this area.
Mhm.
So, and I do have an aunt that who works for she works for in the school district, and so I'm not pretty much know what the issues are here in Melbourne, but I do see that I'm not I'm not really sure what the issues are just yet.
That's okay. You'll find out. Every place is different. So
Mhm.
the point that I'm trying to make is that before you can know what you before you can improve anything, you have to know what it is that you need to work
Yeah,
on. So
because see, I was from California. I was from San Diego, California,
mhm,
and we had a lot of issues down there that we've been working on. Like we had like transportation. We had also had like the budget cuts.
mhm.
So mostly that's what I knew when I was in California. But see, yeah, here I really don't know what's going on here in Florida. So that's why I need, some help in finding what issues are, we have here in Melbourne.
Well, that's great. And that's another point why it would be good for you to have a group. It would be great for you to have a group so you could help identify what the issues are because you already have experience advocating. So we just look forward to having you here in Florida to help us advocate for these issues. So thank you. Um, so you identify the issues and figure out how what things you can do to improve your life and the lives of others in your community. Next slide. So these are the issues that we've addressed either as a statewide board or some of our local groups have addressed, in some cases both. And these are just some. Our most recent ones that we've worked on are the issues related to COVID-19 and people having access to vaccines. And we've worked on supported decision making for people to have an alternative to guardianship that helps them retain some of their rights, which is an issue that is still ongoing, still trying to get legislation passed in that issue. And we just signed on for a possible grant opportunity with Disability Rights Florida on protecting people with disabilities against sexual abuse and violence. There are several other issues. As you can see, we have a lot of things that we have been working on. Next slide. The next thing you need to do when starting a self-advocacy group, once you have identified the issues that you need to work on, is identify the people that can help you. And we've broken down these people into these categories to try to give you a reference and a frame of mind of who you're looking for when you're looking for people to get involved with your group. So you're going to have self-advocates, or the people with disabilities. You're going to have family members of those self-advocates. You're going to have community organizations as partners. And in some cases, you're going to have sponsors. Next slide. So self-advocates are the individuals with disabilities. You want your organization to be led and run by self-advocates. Make sure your group is as diverse as possible, which means you want people with different types of disabilities, because really you don't know, if you have a disability, you don't know what someone else is going through with a different disability. So you need a variety of people with a variety of disabilities, so you guys can get together and talk about the issues for as many people possible, so you can help resolve those issues. And it's also important that while you talk about your issues and things affecting you, that you don't get so caught up in your own issues that you forget about the issues of everyone as a whole. When you're working in a group, it's important to remember that you're there to work on issues that affect everyone. Next slide. So family members, these are the family members of a person with a disability, and they can provide key insights and support and information for your group. You don't want a family member to have a leadership position, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to contribute very important information and ideas for you. Sometimes, a member might depend on that person for support, and they may be the reason why that person gets to attend your meeting or come to your meeting. Sometimes they can bring other members to your meeting. So they provide some good support. You just don't want them to be the leaders of your meeting. So next slide. The next group of people that you want to look at are community partners. These are organizations in your community that may support you in meeting your goal. They may share a goal, same goal as you. There's strength in numbers when you fight for an issue and you find somebody that maybe is not affiliated with your group, but they may believe in the same thing that you're believing in, and may want the same legislation to pass, or they may want that section of sidewalk right in front of their business to get fixed, or whatever the issue is. Banding together with as many people and organizations in your community as you can will help you in the long run. And you don't have to agree with every single thing that organization stands for, as long as you find common ground on the one issue that you're working on. And as long as something that they're working on doesn't affect you in a negative way, you don't have to agree on every single thing. Next slide. So this is just some examples of community partners. My group, Elephant Herds, we partnered with Chautauqua Learn and Serve School in Panama City when I lived there. It's a school for adults who have graduated from high school and go and learn skills after school for work and whatnot. And we help to get budget cuts from happening to the waiver system several years ago. And we worked together to do kind of a peaceful protest, and the news came, and it was great. And so we have several different groups with several different partnerships. Our group in Jacksonville is one of our groups in Jacksonville is working with the Mayor's Council on Disability. Some of their members are part of it, and they've done a lot of work with them. You know, we have New Horizons in Tampa. They do mentoring with healthcare providers and whatnot. So anytime you can partner with a community organization, it's a good thing. Next slide. These are some examples of statewide partners for Florida Stand as a whole. Our Florida Self-Advocacy Central, which is our online presence. Florida Center for Inclusive Communities, which is the University Center of Excellence on Developmental Disability at the University of South Florida. We mentioned the DD Council and Disability Rights Florida. These are just a few people that we partner with. We partner with a lot of people. Anyone that can join in on something that we are working on, we're glad to have them. So anyone who can offer financial support or something like a service would be a sponsor. So the next group of people that we're going to talk about are sponsors. Just for example, some of our groups have meeting spaces that are donated by churches or something like that. So that would be a sponsorship. We also get sponsorships for our conference. They provide money sometimes for like our meals and different things. So it's important that if you're having an event or for your group meetings or whatever, sometimes you can get food as a sponsorship. So it can be time, it can be a place to meet, it can be monetary. There's a lot of different ways that you can incorporate sponsors. And these are just a few of our sponsors that we've had over the years for our conference. Next slide. So these are more examples of sponsorships kind of on a local level. One of our groups had a musician who donated part of his proceeds to their groups for his concerts that he had. Like I said, meeting space has been donated. A lot of our groups, we have a couple of bigger groups that have big fundraisers and they get lots of sponsors for those. Those are just a few examples. Next slide. So this is Florida Self-Advocacy Central. It's our website and social media hub. It includes original content for self-advocates. We have articles and information. We provide opportunities for local disability writers. People with disabilities can actually write articles for us, and sometimes we can offer pay for that. It's really busy during legislative session. We have updates. We have information anytime that something comes up that we're working on, or if a major issue involving people with disabilities comes up, it goes on our website and our social media, and it has its own website, which is fsacentral.org, or you can get it through our Florida Stand website, flstand.org. But we'll reiterate that later, but this is just a good place for information. If you haven't liked us already, go on there, find us on Facebook, find us on social media and like our page, because you're going to want that information. So the next thing that you're going to do once you've identified your issues and the people that can help you is to get focused. You're going to get together, you're going to decide your mission, your vision, and your purpose. And you don't have to have all three of these things at one time, but you do have to figure out where you're going before you can get there. So you're going to have to get together, meet, and make sure you get a structure of and a plan of what you're going to be doing. So next slide, please. These I'm not going to read, but this is just an example of mission, vision, and purpose. This is Florida Stand's mission, vision, and purpose. And it took a long time to get the final product. So when you talk about it, take the time that it needs, and don't be afraid to spend a lot of time on it, because these are the things that your organization stand for at their core. And so they are important and they deserve the time. Next slide. Another example of a mission, vision, and purpose. This is for my group, Elephant Herd's mission statement, and we worked a long time on this for our group. Not that we have any problem with anyone else mentioning the word disability, but for our group specifically, we didn't want to mention the word disability because we just wanted to make it, we wanted to make the point that, you know, this was a group to make life better for everyone, regardless. I mean, we do focus on disability, but in solving disability issues, you're solving everyone's issues. So that's kind of our thinking behind that. So next slide, please. So the next thing you're going to do, and I kind of alluded to it before, is decide your structure. Where and when are you going to meet? Some of our groups meet once a month. Some of our groups meet once a week. It just depends on what you're working on and what you hope to accomplish and the work that it's going to take for that to happen. You're going to want officers. Who are they going to be? How are you going to elect them? Are you going to have elections? What are your terms for your elections going to be? How are you going to handle business? And you're going to want, you don't have to have lengthy bylaws, but you're going to want to start a process for bylaws, because those are your rules of how you're going to govern things. And as you progress with your business, you're going to want these rules to stand on when something happens, because, you know, we don't always agree. We're human. Things happen, and you want a structure that you can stand on and say, hey, these are the rules. Everybody has the same rules and whatnot. So that is important. Next slide, please. The next thing is to get educated. Before you can talk to anybody about how to help you, you need to know what your rights are and how they affect you, and what the law says about what your rights are and what you can do when you're have a problem with something. So you're going to want to read and become familiar with the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA. Research information about whatever topic it is that you're working on. You know, if you're working on the sidewalk, if the sidewalk's broken, and I'm using this because we did it in our group, I had to find out who worked with the city and who was over the sidewalk issue and who I needed to talk to. So issues can be local, state, or federal, but you really have to dive in and find out all the information you can about who you're dealing with and what you have to do. And you have to research that best person for you to go to help. And you have to contact them, and don't be afraid to contact them. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Many of the organizations that we just mentioned, disability rights, all those organizations we had on that previous slide, Florida's Developmental Disability Council, if you're having trouble of where to start, sometimes those people can help you get started. And if you have a person in one organization or one person that you call and you get the one person that may not want to help you, don't stop, find another person. I joke, a lot of people know I help people with their disability issues with Social Security, and I can call Social Security 3 times and get 3 different answers to the same question depending on who I talk to. So don't be afraid. Ask for that person's supervisor. Ask them Tell them that, thank you, but if you can't help me, who can? Attend webinars and community events. These are just going to help you get more and more educated about things affecting people with disabilities. And even if you're not working on a specific issue that you're learning about right now, and right then, it's something that you can carry with you that might help you in the future. Search the internet, social media for information and resources. You should just take on any information and education that you can find and get. Next slide. So after you've done all these things and you're educated and you're ready to go take action on whatever issue it is that you are working on. There are things you can do to make it happen, make those goals you want to have happen. So you're going to want to write your legislators, write them emails, write them letters, visit them. Don't just visit them once a year. For those of you that go to DD Day, that's great. DD Day is a legislative day at the Capitol for people with developmental disabilities, for those of you that don't know. And that is a great day to talk to your legislators, but you need to visit your legislators when you're at home, at their local office, develop a relationship with them, find the head of the organization, whatever organization it is that you think can help you, and talk to them about dealing with your specific issue. Make an appointment, have town hall meetings. Your organization can set up a meeting, invite key people to that meeting, and have people in your community ask questions. That's letting them know that this is an important issue for everyone in your community and not just you. Call your newspaper and your TV stations. If you have an important issue that you're having problems with and no one seems to want to help, bad publicity sometimes does the trick. And so you want to have contacts at the newspaper and at the TV station before these things happen, so that when you need them, you can call them and remind them, hey, this is so and so, we met last month or whatever, and they're going to be more likely to remember you and want to help you. Our next is always approach someone with an open mind, and you want to approach them with a solution to your problem. So don't just complain, but also say, I think that a solution to this problem would be such and such. So you're going to want to do that, and you're going to want to be willing to compromise, because you're not always going to get everything that you want from a person always. So you might give a little bit to their side. Well, the cut is going to be, 20, let's say $3 an hour. You're proposing a cut of $3 an hour. Can we settle for $1.50 or something like that? Something like that. I had an issue like that with someone who was trying to talk to their boss about a raise. He had been there a long time, so I was using that as an example. But just to show you that you might have to give a little bit to get something that you want. I talked about having a potential solution, and always point out the benefits. So you want to point out the benefit to that person. So that person is going to help you, but what's in it for them? So it's not just what's in it for you, but there's got to be a benefit to that person. If you fix this, your constituents are going to be happy with you, and they're more likely to vote for you. Or, having a door opener on your building for people that are in wheelchairs and need help opening the door is going to help you the next time your hands are full of boxes and you can't reach the door to open it. So always be appreciative whenever you talk to someone, whether or not they're going to help you. You want to keep that bridge open and thank them, and definitely thank them again, especially if they help you. When you leave a meeting, you want to make sure you have their contact information so you can follow up with a thank you letter. Always be appreciative to anything, any meetings or anything that anyone does for you. Next slide. This is just a picture of one of our groups. This is Sufi doing one of their trainings. This is also Sufi when they came to one of the Developmental Disability Awareness Days at the Capitol. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is getting involved in your community. So many of our groups already get involved in the community in lots of different ways, but ways that you can do this is like hold events, or like, for example, many of our groups have had voter trainings and trainings on legislative issues, on the budget waiver and Social Security, etc. So I also neglected to mention that when we were talking about getting informed, the Developmental Disability Council has a class called Partners in Policy Making. So I know that's like off topic of what I'm saying right now, but I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about it. Look it up on the website so that you can get hooked up with that class if you haven't. It's great information. But so getting back to getting involved in the community, you can also get involved. You don't have to come up with your own program. You can get involved in existing programs. So a lot of our groups get involved with food banks and other community events. It doesn't have to always be something that has to do with people with disabilities, because again, you want to show people, first of all, that people with disabilities are active members of their community, and you want to build those relationships with other people outside of your organization, and you just want to be helpful to your community in general. So those are all good reasons to get involved, and it's going to bring people into your group. And on the other hand, you can start your own programs to benefit the community. I know that my group, when I lived in Panama City, we had an award that we gave for once a year. We raised money and we gave it to a person with a disability for a year's worth of trolley passes so that they could get to work or they could volunteer. These are just a few of other examples of things that our groups have done. So don't be afraid to start your own program. It helps the community and it gets your name out there. This is also our Sufi group holding an event in their community. So another way to get involved is to get on boards and committees and organizations that have to do with people with disabilities. So in addition to the group that you're starting, you want to get involved in other groups. Like we have some group members that are on the Family Care Council and on SAVE, Self-Advocates Becoming Empowered. We have people that are on their local transportation boards and people that are on their local mayor's councils on disabilities. Just there's all different types of councils and organizations that work on issues that are important to us as people with disabilities that you want to get involved with so that you can become more knowledgeable about what's going on in your community and how it affects other people that may have disabilities or not, that may or may not be in your organization. So, fundraising, there are several different ways of fundraising. These are just a few of the things that some of our groups have done, like selling t-shirts, and one of our groups holds a dance-a-thon and bowl-a-thon every year. Some people sell those armband bracelets, bake sales. One of our groups holds wrestling matches, and one of our groups got Publix to underwrite those like reusable shopping bags one time and sold those. So there's lots of different ways, and a lot of times those community partners and organizations that we talked about earlier may be willing to help you with that. This is an example of fundraising. One of our groups sells t-shirts, and now they have masks too that say label jars not people. So those are great. So another thing that you want to focus on when you're building a group is recruitment. And one of the things I talked about just now about joining boards and stuff, that's going to help you recruit for your organization as well. But you want to attend those community events like we talked about, attend conferences, hold special meetings that are just for recruitment, just to tell people about your organization and try to entice them to come and let them know, be excited about what you're doing and get them excited. Hand out information at activities you go to, and try to think of places that you might be able to leave information. Maybe you can make a flyer or put your information on a card somewhere, on a bulletin board somewhere, someplace that you think people with disabilities and their families might frequent, that you might could leave your information, and the people at that location might be able to tell them about you, or they could pass by and read about you somewhere. Okay, so we have reached the part of the presentation where I'm going to allow my participants on the line here to ask any questions that they may have.
Can you give an example of any event that you had to help with getting more members involved in your group?
Yes, I can actually. One of our things that we used to do, and I always go back to when I lived in Panama City because it's been harder since COVID. I just moved to Tallahassee, but it's been harder since COVID. But we used to raise a little bit of money so that we could have a dinner. And so we would meet with a restaurant, and they would give us a deal on the dinner. They would have a limited menu for us so that we would not go over our budget, and we would budget for a certain amount of people, and we would invite people that we thought would be good candidates for our organization, and we would treat them to dinner and talk about our organization and talk about what we're doing and how they could get involved. And that's when we also did the award. So it kind of made it a big thing. But yeah, but I would suggest doing something, even if you couldn't do something to that scale, you're gonna want to do something that grabs people's attention. Even if it's a light snack, I can promise you that people will come for any kind of food. If it says food on it, people are gonna come. So you don't want to go overboard because then they'll expect it every time. But if it's a recruitment meeting, you may want to spring for a little snack. That's my little inside information there.
Well, I have some really good ideas, because when I was doing self-advocacy in California, I was the president over there, and we had some really, because I worked for an organization called the Art, and so we did a lot of good fundraisers. We did like, I could name a few, like we had bake sales, we had like, and I know that we did that. We did like selling, because I'm very good at making bracelets, so I've been doing bracelets, and we sold those, and I did we I mean we did a lot of fundraisers.
That's great. Can you give an example of something that you may have done to like recruit someone to start coming to your meetings?
What I did was, because I worked, I was working for the organization called the Art, and so how what we did is to recruit the members is that we asked them if they would like to join our self-advocacy group. And so I asked, would you like to join? And because some of them, some of them are like, well, what's this what's this all about? And it's like, well, we tell them, well, it's about advocacy, that you have rights, and you can meet friends, and you could communicate, like the issue. I mean, if there was any issues or any topic that they want to talk about. And so I helped them with that.
That's great. And that brings up a good point. You can't be afraid to talk to people about what you're doing. And you can't assume that somebody knows what advocacy or self-advocacy is. They may have never been involved in advocacy or even know what it is. So you have to be the one to tell them that. So that is a good example. Thank you.
And I know you mentioned partners in policy making. I was in that.
Yes, it is a wonderful program. I'm so glad I remembered to
Because
say it.
I did mine in California. So
Mhm.
I was really proud of, because the art of California was the one that sponsored me to go there.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's for people with disabilities and family members, and they teach you all about policy and how to speak to legislators. And
Yes.
I would recommend it for anyone who wants to get involved in advocacy.
Yes.
Anyone.
I'm saying the same thing too, because I did it, and I was really proud of myself, and now I'm a true advocate. I've been doing it for 9 years now.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And I think we're going to put our contact information up here so that people can contact us if they have any questions or input, or if there's anything that you want us to elaborate on that we've talked about today, we'll be happy to follow up with you. I really appreciate everyone being on my presentation today and providing input. And I think,
I know you created elephants, so that's part of sand, right? You can create your own name for our own self-advocacy group.
oh yes, each of our local groups has their own name. Yes, that
Right.
is correct. Yes. So we have 18 different groups and they all have different names. So when you
Yeah, I was confused nowadays. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought it was an elephant group. I didn't realize it was part of all one organization.
Well,
right.
my question is that I know I've been working with Kelly and Laura, and because I do want to start a group down here in Melbourne, and I went to do an update and seeing if they found out any information, because I know that there was a couple people down here in Melbourne that were interested.
Okay, well, I'm sure that Kelly will be happy to talk to you after we wind things up here. But I'm so glad to hear that you're going to be starting a group down there. That's exciting. And I hope that you'll start a group too, possibly, Sarah. We're excited about that as well. So, but yes, all of our groups have different names, and that you're allowed to pick your own name at the local level, and then all of us together are Florida Stand as the statewide group. So I hope that clears that up for you, Sarah.
Amanda, I know we're wrapping up real quick, but I just thought it might be helpful to elaborate a bit on the difference and the intersection between advocacy and self-advocacy, because I know even as seasoned advocates, we sometimes have issues with that.
Right.
Uh,
So anyone can advocate. Advocacy is for anyone. Lots of times our friends can advocate for us, our family members can advocate for us, our providers that work for us, our support people, all can advocate. That's advocacy. Anyone can do advocacy, but self-advocacy really is about people with disabilities advocating for themselves, learning about their issues, learning how they can be helped, who can help them, finding out for themselves, and being able to communicate that to whoever they can that is going to help them, and being able to tell their story, being able to explain it in their own terms, because any legislator, for instance, will tell you that the most powerful thing for them is when someone who is a self-advocate comes in and tells them their own story in their own words, because self-advocacy, I feel, is the most powerful form of advocacy.
Well, I actually, I sorry. I actually did that when I was in California. I did go to some of our state representatives in California, and there was this one representative that I talked to, and he sounded like he was really nice, because we had an issue about respite, because we wanted to have respite, because respite over there, they were taking it away from us. And so he was really nice, and he did say that he was gonna help us, because there was another thing too, that about the budget cuts, because we had issues with the budget cuts, because they were going to close down some of our services, and we did not want that to happen. So we did go out there, and we did talk to our state representatives, and finally, but we still have that issue down there, and I'm not sure what the issue is down here. I mean, but I am learning.
Yes, we do have some issues down here, but I know that it makes a difference when you go talk to these people, because they can put faces with the issue, and it's not just about money. When they're looking at a piece of paper, it's all about money, and it's okay to say no to more money, but it's really hard to say no to someone that's like in front of them talking about how much they need something. So that's really important. So thanks for bringing that up, Karen. And we're going to have to wrap up our session. But again, feel free, anyone out there who's watching this session, we hope that you learned something, and we hope that you won't be afraid to reach out to us and take advantage of our resources that we have available for you. And thanks everyone for being on and helping me with my presentation today. I appreciate it.
I would appreciate somebody email me the PowerPoint when they get a chance.
Absolutely. We will do that, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yes, thank you, Amanda.
And,
Thank you.